order. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we have the fire chief, police chief, deputy fire chief, and deputy police chief here for a very special recognition for firefighters, police officers, and citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is one of the happiest jobs I have as a chief of police, is to applaud the efforts of our officers here at Harwich PD. So I'd like to call up Officer Joseph LaBelle and Philip Saltworth. And Chief or Deputy Chief's going to bring up the other, the firefighters, paramedics.
And I'd like to call Captain Craig Thornton, firefighter Bruce Young, firefighter Brad Willis, firefighter Paul Finn, firefighter Eric Elliott, and firefighter Jim Clark.
I'm going to start, Mr. Chairman, and then I'll pass it on to Chief Clark to follow up with the FD side. But just to give you some background on this, we're recognizing Officer LaBelle and Officer Southworth for life-saving efforts that were conducted on July 17th. July 17th, approximately 2 p.m., Officer Southworth and LaBelle were dispatched to a Riverside Drive address for an unresponsive 53-year-old male. While they were en route, the county dispatch advised that CPR was in progress, so obviously we know this is a very serious call that they're responding to. Officers arrived to find the 11-year-old son of the victim outside in the street waiting for their arrival, and he showed them into the house where his father was in a bedroom unconscious. They also found the gentleman's wife performing CPR on him at the time with, I believe, directions from county dispatch. So Officer LaBelle and Southworth directed the wife and son to go outside and wait for the ambulance to make sure they get in there as soon as possible, and they continued their CPR efforts on the gentleman until the fire department ambulance arrived. And the FD arrived very quickly after that, took over care of the individual, and I'll leave it to the chief to take it from there, but the gist of the story on our side is he survived, he's still doing very well, and we're extremely proud of the two police officers involved. Chief?
Thank you, Chief. Before we talk about any of the details, I think it's important for the board, and I'm glad it's the non-taxpayers meeting tonight, for them to look before them and see a great team. It's not red, it's not blue, it's one team. We all work very well together, and I don't know where their home communities are, but I will guarantee you that they will not find a finer workings of a fire and police department, and even town-wide here, how well we work. But when things go badly, you call them. And when they're on their A game, which they always are, and when they're working together, we beat the odds. And this gentleman was in cardiac arrest, and the odds of surviving that event are not really good. But in the town of Harwich, you're very fortunate to have very well-trained, very dedicated people that are here to serve the community, the citizens and the visitors. So I speak for Chief Gabet and myself, how proud we are of the folks that work with us. An interesting comment from a couple of the troops was, we don't want to go tonight. We're all set with this. We're just doing our jobs. Well, they weren't doing their jobs, but they do their jobs every single day, and I think it's noteworthy on events like this that, especially tonight with the folks here, to show what dedication and professionalism can do. So with that, I'll let Dave LeBlanc, Deputy LeBlanc, and Deputy Gagnon.
So we just have a letter of recognition here from the fire department, and I'll just read it rather than ad-libbing anything. It's presented to Captain Craig Thornton, firefighters Bruce Young, Brad Willis, firefighter Paul Finn, Eric Elliott, and firefighter Jim Clark for their efforts on July 17, 2016. At 13:52 hours, the Harwich Fire Department responded to a report of a person down with bystander CPR in progress. On arrival, they found the Harwich Police performing CPR. Fire department personnel continued treatment and eventually were able to gain pulse and respirations. This effort by both departments, as well as family members prior to their arrival, had a significant impact on the outcome, and everyone involved should be credited for using their training and skills to achieve this result. By order of the Chief of the Fire Department, Norman M. Clark, Jr. And I would just like to say, we preach, Brad's one of our CPR instructors, early 911 and early defibrillation, and this is a case where it paid off and did what it did. I'd also like to add a second note to single 2 guys out, which I normally wouldn't do, but from their peers, Firefighter Elliott, Firefighter Willis were credited with really being on their A game, which, as the chief said, we expect, and making a difference in this call. So with that, I'm going to present these certificates after Deputy Gagnon reads his.
And we have basically the same praise for our officers. And they say at 13:52 hours, the Harwich Police Department responded to the above address, meaning Riverside, for a report of a code 99 with bystander CPR in progress. On arrival, you were met by a child who directed you to the location where his father was located. You then found the wife of the victim performing chest compressions. You quickly took command of the scene and directed the family members to meet the rescue personnel. Along with other Harwich Police personnel, you resumed chest compressions, airway management, and application of the automated external defibrillator. Thanks to the efforts of those all involved, Harwich Fire Department and Harwich Police Department, the victim regained his pulse and respirations. And checking on him today, he is in Spalding, and he is doing fantastic. And between the 2 departments, we are also having a plaque and gifts to get prepared for the 11-year-old child because of his outstanding actions.
Great, great.
And if I could just beg your indulgence for one more minute. Firefighter Sean Pichet, could you come to the front, please? So anybody that gets into this job knows this job's about service. That's what we do. And Firefighter Pichet had an interesting case where he exemplified the finest attributes of a firefighter in our department. This certificate is presented to Firefighter Sean Pichet in recognition of his efforts on July 12th at the Bank Street Beach. Firefighter Pichet was on duty and contacted by a Harwich police dispatcher who had received a call from a couple that had lost their wedding rings on the beach. The dispatcher knew Firefighter Pichet was on duty and had a metal detector. With the permission of his captain, Firefighter Pichet went to the Bank Street Beach and in a matter of minutes found the rings for the distraught couple. Firefighter Pichet's efforts represent the spirit and attitude that being a firefighter is all about, service to the public.
I do want to mention that the Iris is here. Come here, come here. She had took the call and knew enough to, you know, I think we can handle this, and she went out of her way to make sure it does happen. Yes.
Unfortunately, Sean did a great job.
I wish they'd been there, because when Sean got his metal detector, it's a busy time in the summer, and the picture is Sean with his headphones on doing this, and he handed his radio to the gentleman and said, "If this thing makes any noise, let me know." Good job.
On behalf of the Board of Selectmen and the Town of Harwich Chiefs, we want to thank you and thank all the police officers and firefighters for what you do every day, not just on this day. Thank you.
Thank you.
And happy birthday to Firefighter Young.
Did they say not so young?
Not so young. So
You're leaving now.
Next
It's
up,
okay.
next up is the introduction of a new police officer, Patrick Foley.
Patrick, if you would. Mr. Chairman, it's with great pride that I present Patrick Foley. He is an original son of Harwich. He grew up in Harwich. His parents are still here. Patrick has got an associate's degree in criminal justice, and he's been pursuing a full-time job in law enforcement for quite a while, and we're very, very pleased to be able to bring him forward this evening as a recommendation for our next full-time officer, which will become effective when Officer Jeff Davis, one of our very senior officers, is going to make his retirement final, probably sometime in the fall. It looks like we're going to try and get Patrick on board and into the next full-time police academy, which is slated to start at the end of October. So absolutely very confident that Patrick will do an excellent job. He performed very well on the exam and through the interview process and the hiring process, so we're really looking forward to having him on board.
Great. Welcome aboard.
Welcome, thank
All right,
you.
Patrick, thank you.
With that, I'm going to put the consent agenda just ahead of the non-resident taxpayers meeting. We're just going to yeah, go ahead. Ginny Hewitt, Library Director.
Hi there. Seems like it was months ago, but it was just 2 weeks ago that I was here and mentioned that there was a possibility that we might be closed while our emergency lights were being repaired, and that turned out to happen. So we found out on that next morning, Sean Libby, the facilities manager, tried to do a reboot of the system with the instructions from the manufacturer, and it didn't work. So we found out we'd have to close, and within an hour, we got set up and moved everything so that we could open our library in the lobby. And this is it was a good chance to practice some emergency management, not just a tabletop exercise, but a real-life exercise of what would you do if, and how do you still try to provide services. So what's kind of sad, I guess, is that since this is the second time, is that people in town now know what library in the lobby means. And, you know, and it was good. A lot of the press, we got a lot of help from the press publicizing this, but the headlines didn't read library closed, because that's not good. You want people to know reduced services, but here's what you can come get. So it was really successful. We moved our programs to the community center, and they were still really well attended. So even though it was very successful, I'm happy to announce the library in the lobby is now officially closed, and as of tomorrow, we're back open for full services. Yeah, the manufacturer had a representative out today, and they fixed it. For now, anyway. We still don't know what was the cause. But in any case, I wanted to say thanks to Sean Libby, the facilities manager. With his help troubleshooting, we didn't have to waste a call of having the manufacturer, you know, wait a week for them to send someone just to troubleshoot themselves. He did a lot of the diagnostic work so he could give them good information. And he really had to stay on this company to arrange the repairs. You know, they're in California, and they really don't seem that responsive. And also, I wanted to thank Chris Clark, the town administrator, for helping with the financial arrangements. Apparently, this company is unused to dealing with a municipality, and they wanted someone to either write them a check or put it on their credit card for $12,000. So the really good thing was they dealt with the actual repairs and dealing with the manufacturer and the financial arrangements, and I only had to worry about the impact on the library and our operations. And I think a lot of you know I was one of the prime advocates for centralizing building maintenance, and so I want you to know it's working really well, and I really appreciate that. Sean's had a lot going on in the past 2 weeks. Our very first day closed was the day of the gas leak here at the Albro House, and so there was a lot going on, but he's calm, he's professional, he prioritizes well, and he keeps me informed. If a couple days went by and I didn't hear from him on any updates, then I knew that was because there was no change in status, and I didn't waste time calling him. I have full faith and confidence in him, and was able to just let him handle that aspect of it. And I also like to thank Carolyn, Carrie, and the custodians at the community center. They were really great about accommodating our programs, and this is everyone's busy time of year, so it was an extra workload for them, but they just made us feel very welcome, and that was really appreciated. I'd also like to thank our staff, because they pitched right in. They had a real can-do attitude and made it happen. And I don't know if you know many librarians, but we like order and organization. And this is not, you know, you're not in your normal operating mode. And and we're operating out of a small space. So what we did was we opened the lobby like we did last fall, but in order to accommodate all the children coming in with their reading logs and getting prizes and picking up new books, we made a small lobby at the entrance to the children's room, you know, just by blocking off a small area so that, you know, they really weren't coming far into the building. But That was really great. People really appreciated it, and so I'd like to thank the patrons too, because they, are year-round and summer visitors. Everyone really appreciated it, and they appreciated not having to drive to another town in the summer traffic. So just one other thing I wanted to say: we have for second homeowners and our visitors might not know that last fall the library got funding to reopen on Mondays. And so this is the first summer in 11 years that we have been open Mondays. So our hours are 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday and Friday and Saturday, sorry. And there's still a lot of summer going on. We got all kinds of children's programs. Museum of Science is here tomorrow. We've got the Coastal Explorer van later in the week. Just all kinds of things, and all the activities are on our website, which is brooksfreelibrary.org.
Thank you.
Thank
Judy.
you.
Any other weekly briefings? Okay, moving on, we're going to read the consent agenda first so that we can confirm Patrick Foley. Janelle?
Mr. Chair, I move that we, A, approve minutes of June 27th, 2016, B, approve the road race application from the Open Doorway of Cape Cod, Inc. for second annual Run for Recovery flag relay for September 24th and 25th, 2016, including placement of flag on police department lawn. C, approve road race application from American Lung Association for 32nd Annual Autumn Escape Bicycle Trek on September 24th, 2016. D, approve and sign the state primary warrant. E, approve the request of Channel 18 Director for disbursement from Cable Fund in the amount of $28,400 for the purchase of new equipment in the Channel 18 Master Control Unit at Community Center. F, approve the schedule of annual meetings with committees. G, confirm appointment of Patrick J. Foley as full-time regular police officer as recommended. H, approve request by Harwich Conservation Trust to waive permit fees for 2 tents at Wildlands Music and Art Stroll. And I, accept a gift of $10,852 from the Aura Gaylord Aruth Trust for the Community Center and authorize chair to sign acceptance letter.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Set. All right. On to the non-resident taxpayers meeting. Thank you all for coming. We want to let you know how important you are to the town, and we've got a fair amount of presentations from department heads to update you on what's going on in the town. After the presentations, we'll be open for questions. So with that, I'm gonna bring the police chief back up, who is going to introduce new police officers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. More introductions, if I could have Ron Ruggiero, and, oh, yes, they listen well. See, they're still new. Our 33rd hire, just as part of my brief here, Ron Ruggiero was our 33rd authorized full-time appointment. Ron is going to be a happy man in about 6 weeks and 4 days. Yes, Ron, that is when he graduates from the police academy in Plymouth. It's a very difficult time for family and for the recruits, but they do an excellent job up there in Plymouth, and from all reports, Ron is doing an excellent job himself. Still a squad leader? Yes, Ron was selected as a squad leader, which is a very an honor for a recruit to actually run a squad up there. It's extra responsibility, and it's also an important leadership position in the academy. So we're very, very pleased with our selection of Ron, and we're looking forward to having him come on board when he graduates in the end of September, right? And then he'll go into a 12-week field training program and hit the road. So we're very pleased with the addition of Ron. Now, if you remember, our 34th position was just authorized at this past town meeting with the passage of our budget. It was to backfill a patrol investigator job that Pete Patel is now conducting very well, from what I hear. And so we hired Ron Fazzino right here. Ron is a Cape Cod guy. He grew up in Mashpee, right? Ryan, did I say Ron? I'm sorry, Ryan. Ryan Fazzino. He grew up in Mashpee, and he actually attended the police academy on his own. So when we picked up Ryan, we didn't have to put him in the police academy because he already had it. So Ryan just came out of the field training program, and he's doing an outstanding job for us. So thank you, gentlemen. And if the crowd has any questions for our officers, Seeing none, okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for being here.
Welcome aboard. And of course, we just met Patrick Foley.
Yes, and Patrick will be coming on board later on. You know, he'll be appointed in October. So those are the three new officers.
We're going to keep the chief up to report on safety and a new door-to-door sales bylaw.
Yes, with the town administrator felt that with the passage of this new bylaw, it would probably be a good time for me to kind of give you a rundown on the door-to-door bylaw that was passed and then recently approved by the Attorney General's office, which means it is in effect right now. So the gist of it is, just to give you a little background, prior to this bylaw being passed and approved by the Attorney General, there was no regulation in the town of Harwich to do anything about somebody who wanted to come and knock on your door and sell you something. Most communities on the Cape that I'm familiar with do have a door-to-door sales solicitation bylaw, which doesn't mean it's not allowed at all. It just means that they have to fill out an application, a permit application, with the police department and get a background check completed so we know who these folks are that are planning on knocking on your door. So the intent is simply just to find out who these people are to protect the citizens of Harwich, because if the bylaw wasn't in effect, then we wouldn't know who they were, and potentially somebody with a very lengthy criminal record could be knocking on your door, and we really couldn't do anything about it. So just be aware that that is the gist of the law, and it requires background checks. The law also, after the permitting process and the application, and it's approved by me, then they're issued a photographic identification, which they have to display when they come and knock on your door and attempt to sell you something or solicit something, okay? Another important piece of this bylaw, which I think is very good, is that if you wish, you can contact the PD and be put on the no solicitation list, which is kind of a proactive measure for a resident of Harwich to say, listen, I don't care if they have a permit or not, I don't want anybody knocking on my door. So when we issue one of these door-to-door solicitation permits, we also present them with this list of addresses, not names, just addresses, and we say, by the way, all these people here don't want you knocking on their door anyway, even though you have a permit. That's the gist of the no solicitation list. Obviously, the bylaw includes a number of exemptions. Basically, you want to look at it as anything that somebody can make money from for commercial reasons, for profit, is going to be regulated by this bylaw. Anything of a charitable, political, federal, state, local, official business type of thing, obviously, the permit is not required. It also establishes a fine schedule. First offense, $100, second offense, $200, third offense, $300. And there's also a right of appeal if somebody gets denied, if a business or an individual gets denied the permit to solicit in town, they can appeal to the Board of Selectmen, and then obviously their ruling is final. Okay? That's a very brief rundown of the door-to-door sales solicitation bylaw that was just passed in May, and I'm actually very pleased that it did. I think it provides an extra layer of protection to all the citizens of Harwich, just so we can know who is out there, who they are, and that we're confident if they show up at your door with an ID card that says we're authorized to solicit, you know that person has passed a criminal background check and has been approved at the police department. Okay? Just some parting words. We have had a busy summer. We've had a lot of alcohol-related issues as usual, the vacation mentality on the Cape. We're used to that. But I would urge you, we're not having rashes of any types of crimes, so I think you can be confident that you're quite safe out there. Our officers do an extraordinary job. They're out there 24/7, patrolling the streets, responding to calls similar to what you just saw the officers and firefighters and paramedics recognized for. So I applaud their efforts. They do an excellent job. And because of that, actually, our crime here is fairly low. We don't have a lot of major problems that some of the suburbs and cities do, obviously. But you still need to be careful and cognizant and aware of what's going on. So I would just say in parting, just make sure you lock your car doors, make sure you lock your front doors, okay? We've had some incidents of some intoxicated individuals going into the wrong houses before, so if your door is open, it makes it that much easier for them to do that, okay? So things like that. Don't leave any property visible in your cars when you're parking them at conservation areas or even in your driveway. Even if they're locked, don't leave pocketbooks or wallets visible. They will smash the window out to get to them, okay? So that's about it for me.
Great, thank you, Chief. And again, thank you and thank the fire chief. You guys are having an extremely busy summer, and your work is appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next up is a report from the Highway Director, Lincoln Hooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe it's actually DPW Director for real now. We changed the bylaw at town meeting this past May.
I stand corrected.
Got that, Mr. Galvin? All right. I've been asked to talk about a few different things tonight. One thing that if you purchase a disposal area sticker, you may know that we didn't issue stickers this year if you utilize the disposal area. That's because we instituted a license plate recognition system that simply monitors the license plate coming in, takes a snapshot of the picture of the license plate, and then in real time reconciles that against our existing database of who has paid for their privilege and who hasn't. The system has been working out wonderfully. It's taken a while to develop it and get it to the point where we have the level of confidence in it. If anyone has any questions, I urge you to stop by the scale house. They have a little sheet they can hand out. People have overwhelmingly been supportive, wanting to know how that mousetrap works. The one thing is, how does it work? And when you explain it, it's all in real time. People are pretty enthusiastic about it. And I don't think people miss the stickers falling off their vehicles either. Queen Anne Road drainage, as some of you may have been tied up in traffic and detours in June. That is not my normal MO to do that. However, the gas company has a main replacement program, which is why they issued a moratorium on any new gas services. Part of their project is installing a new main all the way down Queen Anne Road. As is our practice, we decided to put new drainage in before we would resurface a road. We try to make sure that all the ills of a road are taken care of in a project. In this instance, I'm going to require that National Grid do a curb-to-curb overlay on the whole 5 miles of Queen Anne Road. So essentially, they're going to be paving our road for us. They are slated to start next spring on Queen Anne Road. You may ask, well, why the urgency? We like to get the drainage in the ground so it has time to settle appropriately prior to them coming in and digging things up. Should check mine, actually. The moratorium, I spoke to Dennis McCaffrey, the public relations officer, before this evening, and he suspects, if all goes as planned, that they'll be lifting the moratorium in fall of 18. So, and through the cooperation of Harwich and Dennis, allowing them to do some smaller roads during the summer and not limit them to, the shoulder seasons, that's what's helped move the time frame up. So with any luck, 1.5 years, and you'll be able to call up and get a gas service in. I'm sorry about the detours in June. Our road maintenance plan, we have a 5-year road maintenance plan, which is available on our website. In this fall, we're going to be paving Depot Road West, which is over by town of Dennis, and Chatham Road, goes by the water department. Overall, I'm extremely proud of the condition of the roads in Harwich, and I put them against any of our neighbors' roads. I attribute that to the efforts of Chris Nickerson, our road manager, and the support of the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee, your Capital Outlay Committee, and most of all, the residents that support the articles at town meeting that fund road maintenance. Ginny stole my fire with Sean Libby. We have Facilities, we instituted facilities maintenance 2 years ago. I believe Mr. Libby's been on with us for a little over 2 years. He's done a fabulous job. As part of shoring up facility maintenance, we consolidated the various maintenance budgets that were spread about in department heads' budgets to take care of the buildings they had jurisdiction over, and we consolidated those into one place to give Sean a little more working autonomy and capital to address issues as they come up. And I couldn't say enough about Sean. I think Ginny stole my thunder, thank you. The beaches, I've had great reports from the beaches, the condition of the beaches this year. We did purchase a new surf rake, which again was supported by town meeting and this board. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our sole operator, David Ridington, who does a bang-up job, who takes ownership of those beaches, and you walk down and lots of times to me it looks like it belongs in Florida someplace. Right utensil, right man on the equipment, it's amazing. Like to remain positive, but I would also be remiss. Aesthetically, the town of Harwich and the roadsides are not looking the way I typically would like them to look. It's due to a couple of reasons. One, I had 2 full-time people out on injuries, and despite the board's support raising the seasonal labor rate to, we were starting people at 14 and a quarter, that action only attracted 1 additional seasonal labor. So, you know, you keep hearing people are looking for work and they're starving for work, and we advertised twice and still had a bunch of seasonal positions open. And that right there is why the roads are not done. We've done the main roads once. We're hoping to get back to them very soon, but there's other activities that consume labor, like street sweeping that we're obligated to do each year. Beach cleaning, beach rubbish pickup, the list goes on and on. And finally, I'd like to thank the men and women of the DPW. The DPW is actually 7 different departments, and that's highway, disposal, vehicle maintenance, facility maintenance, parks and cemeteries, custodial services, and forestry. And they make me look good, which obviously is not easy. Thank you.
Thank you, Lincoln. Thanks to your team. Next up is a report from the Harbor Master, John Rendon. God bless.
Good evening, John Rendon, Harbor Master.
Bless.
I'd like to start from an operational readiness perspective, public safety. I'd like to just, it's been a busy summer so far, as it has last year, and we, the department and supporting agencies have responded to a number of different maritime requests for assistance and maritime emergencies, groundings, dewaterings, persons in the water, medical cases. And so one in particular case you probably read about in the paper, 2 people fell over off of an inflatable kayak a couple weeks ago, and the response that we had in Harwich I thought was phenomenal. You know, the Harbor Master Department had a boat out there, Harwich Fire, Harwich Police, Yarmouth and Chatham Harbor Masters were out, Coast Guard was out, helicopter was out looking, and all this happened in a very short time frame. And of course, both people were recovered. And so that's the kind of work that I, as the Harbor Master, strive to execute, working along with Harwich Fire, Harwich Police, and our neighboring communities. So it's been a good, busy summer. From a facilities perspective, I think everybody knows we recently did the Harwich, or the Witchmere Fish Pier. This year we finished up the last parts of the project. We put in a new public restroom there. We installed a winch and davit system for the commercial fleet, commercial fishing fleet for offloading, and we also did some significant repairs to the shellfish lab. And all of that was again under the project that was supported 75% with a Mass Seaport Advisory Council grant. The total project was $1.4 million. Allen Harbor, we recently finished phase 2 of that project as well. You may, if you've seen the facility lately, redid, regraded, and repaved the parking lot there with a pervious pavement system. We put in a new restroom and a new tight tank there. and we finished building the revetment wall along the south end of the parking lot. That project also was supported with a grant from the state, the Fish and Game, our Boating and Fishing Department Public Access Grant. They paid 62% of the total project cost, and that was around $600,000. So those two facilities pretty much are totally complete now, which is huge. Everybody's probably read Artificial Reef is just south of Saquatucket Harbor. That was, again, the efforts of a lot of effort with Amy Uzlowski, our conservation agent, working with Department of Marine Fisheries. They provided the grant money in order to execute that, took concrete from the old high school and some other pieces that Robert Auer, who was contracted through a competitive bid to deploy the material. They provided a bunch of concrete. So that's established and being fished on a regular basis now. If anybody wants to know the coordinates of that, they're on our website. You can go to the Harbor Master Department. The lat long coordinates are there. The reef is not marked with a buoy, so, but if you go out there, you'll see boats fishing it, no doubt, and the coordinates are there. This year, we only did one dredge project. We had two scheduled. We dredged Allen Harbor, and that sand went on the beaches of Gray Neck and Earl Road. And we were supposed to do Saquatucket. The dredge broke down, and so that's scheduled for this coming spring. And so we took out about 5,000 cubic yards out of Allen Harbor Channel. Some upcoming projects. The biggie is Saquatucket replacing the docks, services, dredging, Saquatucket Municipal Marina. We went to town meeting, successfully received approval for debt exclusion of $7 million for the project. $1 million of that is being provided by the state, a Seaport Economic Council grant, and that money will be targeted on the handicap accessibility ramp system that we're going to be putting in place to come into compliance with American with Disabilities Act, and also the pier that's going to be supporting the commercial fleet. So that piece really was of the interest and is being supported with a $1 million grant. The remaining $6 million that debt service, 75% of that will come right out of harbor-related fees. So Bourne Engineering is the contracted engineer. We're about 95% of the engineering design is done, and right now we're working with the Corps of Engineers to finish up our permitting, both for the dredge work that has to be done and the reconfiguration of the harbor. So ideally, we'd like to get started mid-October, this coming October, and complete the project over the winter. But a lot has to be, we just have to wait and see if we can get all the permitting in place. So that's a big project on the horizon. Also, the land side. I think last time I was in front of you, we had Saquatucket Development Committee looking at and developing a site plan that would look to improve the land side of our marina. Everybody knows we recently purchased the old Downey property, so that now is town property that will support what we're trying to do at Saquatucket Harbor. Town meeting approved $250,000 for us to do the engineering design of a site plan that was recently approved by the Board of Selectmen. And the elements of that are a boardwalk that goes essentially the length of the north bulkhead right there in front of the harbor, with 3 different viewing areas for the public and to come and enjoy the views of Saquatucket. Replace the harbor master office, add a cafe restaurant with some, for some waterfront breakfast, lunch type establishment. We'll increase some of the green space that's behind currently our harbor master office to put some vendor shacks there for some of the local vendors to come and sell their goods. And then on the Downey property, we're looking to build a multi-purpose building that will serve as a consolidated ticket booth area for our ferry and our 3 other passenger boats that operate out of Saquatucket. And then the back side of that will serve as the harbor master's garage workshop area. We'll move out of Bank Street, move our operation closer to the harbor where our world of work is. So the rest of the Downey property really will serve as parking. You know, if you haven't been to Saquatucket in the middle of an August weekend, you can see the amount of cars and the amount of activity we have going on, and there's a real need for additional parking. So I'm excited about that. So this year we'll be doing the engineering design of it, and hopefully the following year we'll be looking to get the construction going. So if there's any questions.
Great, We're gonna hold the questions until the end. Thank you. No, that's okay, and you'll have to stand at the mic when it comes time. Thank you. John, thank you very much.
you're welcome.
You know, you do a lot of work on the harbors, and you're doing a great job improving the harbors and keeping them great and keeping us all safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, sir. Yeah.
Next up is a report from the Recreation Director, Eric Beebe.
Adjust this up a little bit. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to start with the beaches. Every year I come before you guys and I say I don't think it could be more crowded than it was, and it is every year. We're having another very busy beach season. We're very lucky with the staff we have. Lifeguard-wise, it was a big turnover year. We have a lot of young lifeguards this year, but they're well-trained. They're doing a great job. We preached in our orientation this year prevention of situations from becoming situations. And they've done a great job of that, really spotting out when people could be putting themselves in dangerous situations and stopping them before they happen. Despite that, we have had some emergencies, and they've reacted well. They're calm under pressure for their age, and we feel really lucky to have them. One of the reasons we've been successful in recruiting lifeguards this year is because we've been able to do in-house training. We're one of the only towns that does in-house training of lifeguards and a lifeguard training class every year. We actually have ours tomorrow for the next class. So we have about 10 signed up. We bring them right back in. They want to work for us. We have a good tradition of lifeguards, brothers and sisters that come back, lots of Harwich residents that take pride in working for their town. And it's really helped us out. We're one of the only towns that didn't have any issues with lifeguards this year. We normally employ roughly 28 to 32 lifeguards, and we have the full 32 this year without any issues. Aside from that, like I said, our beaches are very busy. It's indicated by our numbers. Our daily beach passes are up again this year. Unfortunately, also our parking violations. We have two parking enforcement officers who are very good at what they do. They go out and they do write a lot of tickets. We've written over 400 as of this week. And we see it as a way to really let people that do it the right way get the spots they deserve. Residents, 1-week stickers, non-resident stickers, it really gives them the opportunity to park at the beach. Obviously, you got to come early. It helps either way, but this way it's discouraging people from coming in without the proper documentation. Couple new things at the beaches this year. We are doing kayak and stand-up paddleboard rentals at Cahoon's Beach off Long Pond. So far, it's been great. We're doing it on Fridays through Sundays right now, kind of see how it goes. We've already made our money back from any expenses that we've had, including staffing. So we plan to continue that. We have plans for next year of going to 7-day-a-week service. We can equip up to 10 kayaks at a time, as well as 2 stand-up paddle boards, which are very popular right now. We're planning to increase that as well. So that's been a great program for us. Also this year we have a food vendor at Red River Beach, in addition to the ice cream vendors. We have depot dogs there, who you're familiar with at Buca's, depot dogs. And they seem very popular. Every time I go there, there's a line. I've had their hot dogs, they're pretty good. I've had a lot of hot dogs in my time, so. So that's another new thing. We're also continuing to sell T-shirts at Red River Beach. We have T-shirts, we have sweatshirts available. Our playground staff put together some tie-dye T-shirts. They tie-dyed about 10 T-shirts. They sold out in a day. So we're going to continue to do that as something not only to make revenue, but to just kind of spread the word. And you know, we take pride in seeing somebody walking around with a Red River Beach T-shirt. In addition to that, at Red River Beach, we also got a small grant for 2 sunscreen dispensers through the Glenna Cole Foundation. It's to promote sun safety and sun health, which we really push with our lifeguards and all our staff, and we hope that the patrons of the beach take advantage of that also. So the beaches have been great this year. We haven't really seen any issues, and like I said, the emergencies have been at a minimum. The other half of our summer includes programs, all our sports programs and camps, and those have been great as well. We've had a great staff for that as well. For the first time, I think we're going to top over 1,000 kids registered in programs this summer. Our playground camp has been completely full every session. All our programs run on 2-week sessions. So the community center is a very busy place, and we thank Carolyn for that too, being accommodating to that. It's definitely a busy, loud place most days. So what we are offering this year, just a quick rundown on the programs we're offering: tennis lessons, lacrosse, half-day summer camp, full-day summer camp. We're offering a full babysitting class with CPR and first aid certification. Soccer clinics, pickup basketball, pickup soccer, baseball, swimming lessons. We have a very in-depth basketball clinic that runs at night at the community center. And we're having open gym and game room times. And in addition to that, we have 2 new programs, including youth golf and youth yoga. So we're really open to anything. If somebody comes to us, if anybody, summer residents, year-round residents, comes to us with an idea for a program, we will try it. You know, we'll see the feasibility of it. We'll take an interest sheet. We'll see how many people want to do it. And if it's feasible financially and we can make it work, we'll run it. And yeah, lastly with programs, like I said, that we have a great staff this year. Most of our staff, there was a big turnover in our camp staff this year as well. We usually employ 10 or 11 camp counselors every year. 7 of them are new this year. And of the 7, 6 are Harwich residents, which we really take pride in. And they're local high school kids that help us out all year with programs. And they're good kids, and it's, you know, they make my job easier. And then aside from that, projects that we have going on right now. We secured funding in May for phase 3 of the Brooks Park project, which included, and it will start in the fall, construction, an additional T-base parking lot, picnic pavilion. We're going to resurface the current tennis courts. We're going to add a new tennis wall and practice area. And we're also going to add another half basketball court. So we're really excited about that. That's coming up in the fall. And then in the future, we're looking to go on to phase 4, which should be the last phase of the project. We're going to go to the Community Preservation Committee for funding on that. We're going to look to increase the playground and update the playground, add another restroom facility down there, maybe some nature and some fit trails, and then some general landscaping of the area, kind of just to finish everything off. In addition to that, this year we're going to look for funding for White House field improvements, including a new irrigation system at the field, which is due, as well as a restroom facility that has been much needed there for years. We're working closely with the Harwich Mariners to put that together, whether it be a split cost. We're working on that. So we're excited about the future. We're excited about what's going on right now. Once we get through the summer, we're really going to amp it up with our construction over at Brooks Park, and it should be a good year.
Great.
That's all I have.
Great. Thank you, Eric. A lot
Thank
of
you.
very good comments about your staff this year at the beaches and the rec programs. A lot of people are praising the politeness of the people that are working there. So thank you.
Thanks.
Next up is a report from our Water Superintendent, Dan Pelletier. Evening, Dan.
Good evening. Dan Pelletier, Harwich Water Superintendent. As you can imagine, in times of near drought conditions, water suppliers are feeling the stresses of their water system. Fortunately for the residents and non-residents of the town of Harwich, we're able to continue to provide safe, clean, potable drinking water. It's with great pride I'm able to stand here tonight and tell you that out of the 1,734 public water suppliers in the state of Massachusetts, the town of Harwich was one of 12 communities to receive the 2016 Public Water Systems Award for medium and large water systems. And this was issued by the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. The award is not only given for water quality, but also demonstrating consistency in operations and foresight in planning for the future. And for this, I have the Board of Water Commissioners and continued dedication of the Water Department staff to thank. The Harwich Water Department has always been striving to stay current with modern treatment techniques and technology. The department continues its push towards installing radio read meters and currently has over 95% of the town converted. In the last fiscal year, the department was able to install 75 water services totaling revenue of $158,000, as well as coordinate with the town's highway department to replace all older service lines under roads that are being repaved. Currently, our year-to-date pumping is 502 million gallons, and our peak day occurred on July 4th, where we pumped a total of 6,817 gallons. We're slightly below where we were this time last year at 517 million gallons, and although we are slightly below the numbers, we're still under a voluntary water restriction advisory asking people try to conserve water and do odd-even scheduling. In the most recent town meeting, all 3 water department articles passed, and they're being funded from free cash, which will allow us to stave off a rate increase for at least another year. The town meeting articles will allowing us to replace our existing SCADA system, which is the computer program and associated equipment that controls and monitors pumping and water treatment. It's allowing us to purchase a new excavator and replace the Lothrop Ave water storage tank, and this project is currently underway. The new tank is approximately 50% complete and is scheduled to go online this winter. The next phase of the construction is the application of a shotcrete, which is a sprayable concrete. And during this process, Lothrop Ave is going to be closed down, restricted to local traffic only between Great Western Road and Gilbert. There is a detour set up and in place to assist the motoring public. The closure will commence on Thursday, August 11th, and continue through mid-September, excluding holidays and weekends. The road will be open to, like I said, residents. I ask that anyone seeking further information about the closure or detour go to our website at harwichwater.com. We've posted the information up there. I'd also like to take this time to inform everyone about 2 services the department offers that could benefit the non-residents of Harwich. First being the seasonal service account option, which is $50 per billing cycle and allows the department to shut the water off at the street and drain the service line to your home to prevent pipes from bursting in the winter. And the second is the service type protection plan, which is $68 a year and allows the homeowner with a 0 deductible service line replacement should the water service rupture at any time. And again, details on both of these can be found at harwichwater.com under the customer service tab. So I thank you all for coming and hope you enjoy the rest of the summer.
Thanks for the report, Dan, and thank you staff for the award. A very dedicated team over there. Next up would be a report from Channel 18 Director Jamie Goodwin.
Jamie Goodwin, Channel 18 Station Manager is my actual title. I think you have me listed as Director. For the non-resident taxpayer meeting, and accessing live broadcasts. You can only watch Channel 18 live broadcasts at home in Harwich through cable, through Comcast Channel 18. If you are a seasonal resident, you can watch every single second, every clip that we produce, either through our on-demand page, which I can show you where that is. You go to the home page of the town website, you click on this little camera here down at the bottom, and you wait for it to load. You can find our program calendar is always right here on the left-hand side, and that will show the next 3 days what will be happening on the station. But you can either click here, the YouTube page, or you can go to our on-demand video service. The on-demand page is just for our government meetings. So currently, right now, we film the Selectmen, the Historic District and Commission, Conservation, Planning, annual town meeting. We do some special wastewater meetings. We do voter information committee on a regular basis. But if you wanted to watch this on that front page, that's our scrolling bulletin, and that runs on the Channel 18 page all day, every day, and that will show you the program calendar, and that's every press release, news bulletin that comes in through any department or HJT or the high school. They send me over press releases, and you can watch that. Here on this page, we have 772 videos that have been posted in 3.5 years. We have over 60,000 views on those 772 videos. You can watch regular department updates from the Council on Aging, the Conservation Trust, the Community Center, the Recreation Department, the Chamber of Commerce, Brooks Free Library. Chris Clark, the town administrator, has done 21 town administrator addresses. So for the past 21 months, he comes on monthly and addresses the public. So those are pretty interesting if you wanted to look back and watch those. The town nurse does seasonal events. Family Pantry comes on and does seasonal promotions. The police department, I know I'm probably forgetting a few. So if you are not a resident of Harwich full-time and you wanted to stay alert on all those activities, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. So every time we post a video, you will get an email with a direct link. You can watch every update, every selectmen's meeting goes up there, the conservation, the planning, and I'm doing one more. No, conservation, planning. Historic, thank you. But it's also, there are links on our homepage here. You can watch the Conservation Commission is a link just to Conservation Commission. There's a link that brings you straight to all of Chris Clark's town administrator addresses. And then this top one here, you can just go to Selectmen's meetings. Our YouTube page is only 3.5 years old, so you can only watch back until 2013 on that page. If you wanted to watch anything older than that, you'd have to go to the library or request a video from me. Our live broadcasts, so this is going out live right now, and it will repeat itself right after this meeting. It will play every morning, Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., which was a standard set by Jill Mason years ago, and we're going to continue that policy. So if there's a planning board meeting on a Wednesday, it will air the following morning at 10 a.m. in addition to it being live. So if you miss it live and you want to watch it again, it'll air the next day at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. We also have an ongoing program called Community Journal, which a lot of our local residents know about and watch religiously. That is an hour-long news magazine show that highlights all the happenings around town for the upcoming week and weekend. And if you are a non-resident taxpayer, and if you're not watching that when you're on Cape Cod, you should, because it gives you a lot of updates on what's going on the weekend. And that is filmed by 5 faithful volunteers, Joyce Roach, Ron Armbruster, Paul Coughlin, Jack Wyatt, and Eileen Wyatt. I just like to thank them whenever I get a chance because they show up every Wednesday and Thursday and work very hard for me. And I'd also like to thank Caleb Ledoux. He helps organize everything. He's my assistant. I'd also want to take this time to let everybody know that since the consent agenda was approved for my $28,400, the station will be down the last week of August, the 29th through the 31st, roughly. I will be replacing, removing, and relocating some equipment. So it will be black for a couple of days. There is no selectmen's meeting that weekend, which is why we chose that day. So if you turn Channel 18 on at the end of August and it's not broadcasting, don't freak out. I'll be back up before you know it. I'm preparing for the worst and hoping for the best with that move. So As always, if you have any questions or comments, you can email me at jgoodwin@town.harwich.ma.us. We're always looking for polite feedback and criticism.
And there's a link on the website for emailing.
Correct, yep, you can, on this left-hand side of the website, you can either call me or you can just click on my name and email me.
Great.
So any questions from the board?
Nope, great job with the website and getting the information out there.
Thank you.
Thank you to you and Caleb, and the volunteers. Next up is the overall financial position of the town from Andy Gould.
You missed
Oh,
wastewater.
sorry, wastewater issues. Heinz Proft, our Natural Resource Director. You didn't get out of it. Thank you.
Something so large could just be
Yeah.
overlooked. Good evening. I'm the Natural Resources Director, Heinz Proft. Although things like our shellfish flats and our water sampling program and our herring run and eel ramp fall under natural resources, I've been asked this evening to highlight a few things that the Wastewater Implementation Committee has. So there's really no wastewater department per se at this point in time, but there's a committee that meets monthly. There are two department heads on that, one being the town engineer, Bob Caffarelli, and myself, and some citizen volunteers. Our chairman, Peter DeBacher, couldn't be here this evening, so I'll highlight a few of the most recent highlights that we've had as it pertains to the wastewater issues. One, the towns of Harwich and Chatham completed a new bridge culvert in the Pleasant Bay watershed. This is where Route 28 crosses, where Pleasant Bay and Route 28 come together there. It was a widening of an inlet to increase tidal flow. It has better water quality. There's better access now up that waterway with canoes, paddleboards, and kayaks. No motorized vessels are allowed at this time. This Pleasant Bay watershed system with this culvert increases the nitrogen removal. It was a quite expensive project, over $6 million, but it was funded by the State Division of Ecological Restoration, the Department of Interior, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and NOAA. And Harwich and Chatham split the remaining, $1.87 million of that $6 million plus project. So it's been referred to as Muddy Creek. There's a push now to address it at a more favorable Monomoy River. It used to be called Monomoy River about 100 years ago. It looks more like a river now. Aesthetically, the water flow is great. Hasn't adversely affected our shellfishing flats. I don't anticipate it to, but that's one of the kind of phases in the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan. You'll hear that term, CWMP, the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan, and that's one of the projects within that. The town also completed, with the help of UMass Dartmouth, the School for Marine Science and Technology, a study on the natural nitrogen attenuation of Cold Brook. This is the waterway that comes out of Grass Pond, passes under Bank Street, goes through Cranberry Bog, and then into the Saquatucket watershed. The ability for nitrogen to be naturally attenuated there reduces the amount of long-term sewering that would be needed there. It was a 2-year project. The final report will be coming out. We did have an interim presentation, and working with the Harwich Conservation Trust, who actually owns that, the town will hopefully come up with a solution to naturally use that area to remove nitrogen as it pertains to our wastewater issues. The CWMP, that Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan, it's over 600 pages. It is on the website. It's under the department there of wastewater. That's where you'll find it. There are flyers like this that can be picked up at the community center, our library, and the Chamber of Commerce. But again, the full report is on our website. The plan itself just underwent a development of regional impact review by the Cape Cod Commission Subcommittee. They reviewed the plan. They voted unanimously to recommend that adoption of the plan to their full commission. That meeting will take place on the 18th of August in Barnstable. Back in May, the Environmental Policy Act, the Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs issues a certificate of approval for our plan. And the next step there will be to get the final CWMP certificate. But this is a many-decade program, so it'll go through some changes. But the town is well on its way to coming up with its plan to address our wastewater issues over those next 30 to 40 years. I'm now moving into something that I know of, but perhaps the board could give some more detail on it. But There is, it's referred to as an intermunicipal agreement, an IMA, between the towns of Harwich and Chatham. Recently, they had some productive meetings, and this is to address the Pleasant Bay watershed in East Harwich. And in a nutshell, Harwich plans to construct and operate a sanitary sewer system within the boundaries of Harwich to service the East Harwich area, but desires to deliver that sewage to the Chatham system for treatment and recharge. But this has to be agreed upon by both towns, and those details have yet to be hammered out. But as we get closer to that, eventually I would assume that would be then brought before the town as to what those details were. Just to finalize, that comprehensive wastewater management plan is in our library, but also on the website. And that wastewater implementation committee that I mentioned does meet on the third Wednesday of each month. The next one is at 9:30 right here on the 17th of August at 9:30 in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Heinz, and thank you for all your work on this. Angela, will you give us an update on the Chatham-Harwich agreement?
Yes. Chatham several years ago built a wastewater treatment plant for Chatham. And so the Chatham has been running it for a number of years. But they are not close at all to using their full capacity. They need to increase their capacity because they need to be doing some testing that the state wants them to do, for example. So there's a benefit to them if we send some of our waste to them. And it's obviously a benefit to us because a new plant that we would have to build in East Harwich would be probably in the $25 million range. And all the numbers that we're dealing and talking about are significantly less. I would assume that we have another meeting planned several weeks from now, and we're really getting down to the nitty-gritty of the issues. And although it's not a requirement, it's our goal and Chatham's goal to bring the contents of the plan, if you will, the agreement, to town meeting so that our residents and voters can have a choice of how they want to operate. Probably, it may be next year's town meeting or maybe even the year after that. But as was said before, this is a long-term project. We are operating under a gun in a way in that we must work diligently on all the estuaries to get them cleared because of a number of lawsuits that were taken against the county. So all of Cape Cod is working on that project at this point. We are trying to do it by partnering with surrounding towns to save us money. We're talking to Dennis, for example, as another possibility. And we're also trying to do it in as many ways we can without sewering individual households. That's very general, I'm sorry, but that's about where we are.
Great. Thank you, Angela. Okay, now Andy Gould, the financial position of the town. Andy's our finance director.
Good evening. Andrew Gould, Finance Director and Town Accountant. What I'd like to cover is what happened last summer. We closed fiscal year 15, and it was a very good year. When we had free cash certified, it was certified for over $4 million, and that's the highest it's been in a while. As a result of that, the town was able to fund capital equipment without debt exclusions, including $885,000 for equipment and vehicles, $561,000 for the central maintenance department that Link spoke about, $225,000 for Monomoy School for their capital assessment, $250,000 for Saquatucket's engineering and design, $250,000 to cover a snow and ice deficit, and I'm pleased to announce we were able to put $1.7 million into stabilization. Stabilization is also called a rainy day fund for lay people. Fiscal year 16 is not closed yet. I'm getting there, so I really can't give you any kind of numbers, but it looks like a positive number. But seeing as we appropriated almost all the $4 million, I wouldn't expect free cash to be anywhere near $4 million for this year. One other thing I'd like to bring to your attention is there's some challenges the town's going to be having to deal with over the next few years, long-term. One is health insurance. Health insurance is going up, sometimes double-digit every year, sometimes not, but it's getting there. And the reason I say that is the town pays 75% of the employees' and retirees' health insurance, so it's becoming a higher and higher percentage of the town's budget. In addition to that, there's a thing called OPEB, which stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits Except for Pension. And now every community is required to have an actuarial study done every 2 years to find out what the unfunded liability is. And this is strictly health insurance for this particular community. It might be others, depending on what kind of benefits they offer. Currently, the town's unfunded liability is $40 million. So it's not a small number. And we are not required to fund it now. We have started doing that. We put a line item in the budget. And if we get a good free cash number, we may take some money out of free cash to fund it. And the other big one is, as Heinz was just talking about wastewater, we're talking several $100 million over the next 40 years, so that's going to be another big challenge. And as Angelo mentioned, we need to deal with it because there's lawsuits up there. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Great, thank you, Andy. Okay, next we're on to questions and comments. I did agree to let a short video be played. There was an issue before us last year at this meeting on Gray Neck Beach. Can you just state your name for the record, sir?
Ed Costello.
Great, thank you, Mr. Costello.
I don't think I'm being presumptuous in presenting this because I want to both show what was done and I want to show what it means to the people of Gray Neck Road. Before I start, I'd like to thank Jamie Goodwin for making my computer electronics compatible with yours. I want to thank Harbor Master John Rendon for the Gray Neck Road beach renourishment. An absolutely beautiful job was done. And I want to give special thanks to an anonymous heavy equipment operator who every time that the beaches get renourished, this fellow is on the beach and he'll answer anybody's questions, talk to anybody that comes along, and it's really very pleasant having him work on this. Now, he's driving that piece of equipment right there, and what you see is the pipes being laid on the beach. They've already come from Allen Harbor up to Earl Road, and now they're going to be connected and brought from Earl Road to Gray Neck Road Beach. This is what happens above the high water mark, and you can see this, what looks like black dirty sand pouring out of the pipes. This is what it looks like on the beach. This is the finished product a couple of days after they stopped doing it. Now, where there was no beach initially, this is what you have for a beach, and you can see the crowd that's down there. Sometimes it'll look like there's a little bit of extra space, but that's at low tide. At high tide, it can get pretty cramped. Suffice it to say that everybody who's there is very appreciative of everything that was done, and you can see what a magnificent job was done.
Could you just say, like, the background of the project was to restore the beach? Is that?
Question, Mr. Costello, is the background and why this happened.
Well, Jamie, I'm going to have to go back to those first three again at the end of this, but we can just go through this now. Yeah. I went around to people on the beach.
How do you like our new beach? It looks great. I'd really like to thank the Harwich Board of Selectmen for restoring it to the way it should be.
That first girl that talked just got engaged on the beach 2 weeks ago.
That's nice.
Thank you, Town of Harwich, for restoring our beautiful Gray Neck Beach. We love it here.
I came all the way from Michigan just to come to Gray Neck Beach.
Thank you, Town of Harwich. We love Gray Neck Beach. Thank you for restoring it. Thank you.
Thank you for restoring Gray Neck Beach. I came here 25 years ago from Michigan, and the beach has never been more beautiful.
Now, basically, from this point on, you'll just see the beach on different days to show you how much it was utilized and how much it is appreciated and how much, how much it means to this community. Basically, what happened, Jamie, can I go back to the first three slides? We're asked, why did this happen? Why did it need it? This is the beginning of Gray Neck Road you see two people who can't get down the beach. This is the east. You can see the Gray Neck Road steps. You can see that the bottom vertical pole has been ripped off there. Here again are the bottom of the Gray Neck Road steps. And there you see absolutely no beach on the adjoining property on the other side. Now, the reason that this happened is because this wall that you see between those two sets of steps was put there when the Nantucket cable was laid, and it was brought way out onto the beach. You'll see another shot, I think it's the next one, of that further away property, where they actually lost their whole bottom steps over the winter. You'll see a shot of the bottom of the Gray Neck Road beach steps where those were irreparable. Now, this is not the first time I've been before the town, but that beach did a lot of damage to that area. There you see the bottom of the steps on the property on the other side. There you see the bottom of the Gray Neck Road steps. So everything was in disrepair, and the beach had to be renourished. When you saw that first slide, there are people standing up there, and they can't even get down onto the beach. Then you see, and that was not a windy day when those pictures were taken. You see the tide coming up, and it's coming right up to the steps. Well, you essentially have an unusable beach. So that's why it had to be done, because that wall that was built out there on the west side of the Gray Neck Road beach has caused a severe west to east sand flow, and it just takes the sand away from the beach. So year after year, you have problems with the beach. I just want to make the point. You'll see what was done. You see what the beautiful job that was done, and you see how much people appreciated it. And I'd just like to put this into everybody's mind. Every public beach should be given individual consideration as to the frequency, amount, and timing of renourishment. In case of Gray Neck Road, I have seen it renourished on consecutive years, but also seen it at a 3 or 4 year interval. In all cases, a beach should be renourished when needed, not a set timetable and even rotation for all beaches, because there are some beaches that need it more often than others. A perfect example is Brooks Road. Brooks Road sits in the middle of a long stretch of beach. It's a public beach, but I don't know what good it does to do Brooks Road. I'm sure that people who live in that area will say that it needs it, because everybody is always clamoring for more sand. But the fact of the matter is that there's no jetties there. There's not much of a wash away of sand. So they need it very little. Gray Neck Road needs it very often. I'm sure there are beaches in Harwichport that need it very often, and then some don't need it so often. So rather than say, well, this is your year, and 2 years from now is your year, and 3 years from here is now year, I would like to see that it's done on an as-needed basis. And I'm sure that I would leave that up to the harbor master and any other powers that be to make that evaluation. Finally, what it took to do this down on Gray Neck Road this year, I spoke with the man, the heavy equipment operator. He said it was going to take about 3 days of pouring the sand on there. It took 4 days of pouring the sand on there. So they did a beautiful job in only 4 days. And if you look at when they take sand out of Gray Neck Road and when they move it west, you have Earl Road, which you can re-nourish. You have Gray Neck, which you can re-nourish. You might have Little Beach, which you can re-nourish, but that's kind of up in the air with legal complications right now. So you basically have 2 beaches. It's not a big deal. You know, some years it needs it drastically, other years it doesn't, but I would just urge the town to keep an eye on different beaches at different times because some need it more than others. But the bottom line here is that the people on Gray Neck Road are so appreciative of everything that was done, and I just want to thank the town of Harwich in their behalf with this little vignette.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Costello, and thank you for the recognition.
Thank you.
Gentleman over there, I think, wanted to-
Yes. Okay, now we're going to get on to questions and comments from the board from others. I'd like to recognize the gentleman in the front in the green T-shirt first. If you'd stand up at the mic and just state your name for the record.
My name is Martin Smith. I live at 6 Seaport Lane in Harwichport, and I had a question for the harbor master. He indicated there's a plan to put in a cafe at Saquatucket Harbor. To me, that doesn't make any sense. You got Brack's Landing right there. You're going to be competing with a local business that's well established and is a very good community resource. So I think that should be reconsidered as part of the Saquatucket plan.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to let John Rendon step up and answer that.
Mr. Chairman, from our perspective, the committee's perspective, and from my perspective as the harbor master, you know, we have over 200 boats that operate out of Saquatucket Harbor. We have hundreds and hundreds of people every day come in to ride the ferry, charter boats, passenger boats. We have an enormous population that operate out of Saquatucket Harbor. And right now, what we offer is a bag of ice, and that's it. That's all that we have there at our facility. And I don't think at all that what the committee's recommending as far as leasing a space to run a cafe that will provide breakfast in the morning, lunch, a to-go type system for the boaters to come and go and get sandwiches and get drinks and go. And it's not going to be a late night facility. It's going to be a breakfast, lunch, and early evening shutdown. I don't think it's in direct competition with Brack's. But frankly, I think it's very much needed, and I think the town will very much enjoy having that waterfront experience, waterfront view experience, and it ties right into the boardwalk that we're proposing. So,
and John, that was proposed to be a lease also. The
That's
town
correct.
would not run that.
That's
so that
correct.
would go to
It's-
competitive bid.
yes, sir.
And there was also there was an hour stipulation in the proposal also. It was not for dinner.
Correct. No dinners. It's, again, early evening, 6-ish kind of shutdown. What I don't want is to have a late night operation where people are drinking and walking out on the docks. And, I mean, you know, we want something that's morning and afternoon type operation.
Great. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Anyone else for questions? Ma'am?
Hi, my name is Gail Caridi. I've actually owned a home in Harwich for over 20 years. I just sold one, and I just bought another one this spring. So Harwich seems to like me, and I seem to like Harwich. And I want to thank you for your elected service and for all the service of the town officials that have come before us tonight, because I think it's very helpful in understanding things.
Thank you.
Pedestrian safety, probably not a new issue. Particularly with this project from Snow Inn Road and Freeman Street down toward where the new harbor master's facility is going to be. You know, people walk through there. Sometimes I'm afraid to drive through there. You can see that there's little walking paths. Is pedestrian safety and sidewalk improvements or putting in a sidewalk any part of that project? Because I think that's a much needed thing to do to kind of bring, you know, pedestrian traffic from Harwich Port down to that beautiful area, and it sounds like it's a great project to be.
Yes, I'm going to let John come back up and answer that as well, and yes is the answer. But he's going to elaborate.
I should have mentioned that, and I apologize. The town administrator has already put in a request to Mass DOT to have sidewalks put in from Harwich Port leading to Saquatucket. It is an important part of this overall project, and I failed to mention it. I apologize, but yes, it is in the plan. Okay.
Thank you. I'm Christine Byron. I'm in the Red River Beach area. I've had a place there for about 14 and a half years. I came to this meeting for the first time last year and again this year, and it is really impressive to see everything that goes on behind the scenes to keep it operating in such a nice place to be. So thank you. I had two questions that, in a way, you know, you could probably answer them really quickly. One is just that at the Red River Beach, we can see Monomoy in the distance. And this spring, I saw that video of all the seals coming out, the 8 miles of seals, 5 seals deep. Should we be, like, you must be doing testing for enteric bacteria over there. Is there any concern about seal waste with that size population for what it's doing to the water on the Nantucket Sound?
I'm going to have Heinz Proft, our Natural Resource Director, answer that.
The town, through the Natural Resources Department and our Health Department, does do water sampling in our bathing beaches, but also in our embayments like Allen Harbor, Herring River, Witchmere. From a shellfish standpoint, just to run some numbers, to close an area for shellfishing, the coliform counts would have to exceed 14 coliform units per 100 milliliters. So just think of the number 14. To close it for swimming, it has to be 100. So you can see how sensitive a shellfishing area is to that type of coliform in the water. That's why our areas like the Herring River, Allen Harbor, Witchmere, Round Cove, these areas that have small inlets, are closed in our summertime time frame for shellfishing, but they are open in the fall and winter. Bathing beaches, I don't have the exact data or when things are open. I know that they're tested. Occasionally, I've been here 19 years, they have been closed from time to time. That would be our health department agent, Paula Champagne. But the amount of seals that are out in Monomoy, there's no coincidence that we have increased shark sightings. It's a large body of water, but there are a tremendous number of seals. At this point, they're protected beyond belief. I don't know if anything's going to change on that route, but to answer your quick question, we do have water samples. We have historical database of archived samples. This summer isn't any different than what we've experienced in the past, but it doesn't indicate anything future projected-wise. I hope that helps you.
Heinz, there is also a group or several groups now
Yes.
studying the explosion of the seals out there, correct?
Thank you very much. And the other question related to the same area is the old Stone Horse Motel, which has been for sale forever. And, you know, there was a big sign it was going to become a health facility. And you might imagine we hear all sorts of rumors in our area, some of which are kind of disturbing. Is there any way to get an update on that, or to at least know if we'll be informed of any?
We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is private property, and there was a deal being made between Outer Cape Health and the owners of that property, and we're not sure what the status of that is.
Okay, thank you very much.
I believe Outer Cape Health actually owns it now.
They own it.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Hi, Bob Nickerson. I'm in Harwichport, and I had two things myself. Actually, I had three things, but you probably don't want the third one. The first one is I live fairly close to Embers on Bayview Road, and you've, I guess, allowed them to put an outside bar in, which for the most part has not been a problem, but it's been fairly loud until 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, so I'm starting to think we're going to get down into what you had to deal with by the Herring River. I'd like to make sure that that doesn't happen. So were there any restrictions? I didn't get notification. My best friend has a house 2 houses away. He didn't get notification before this decision was made. Any updates?
Do you have something on that, Angela?
No, I think we need to look into that.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, you just,
There was,
you know.
there was a public hearing on that, so I do know that notifications were given. We did receive back green cards of all the abutters, correct?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm not in a butter, but I mean, I live across from Sunday school, so, I mean, do you have to be right next door or 2 houses away and then not get, notified? It seems.
I'm not sure what the parameters are for licensing for notification of abutters, but the requisite required abutters were notified for that. And we did have the condominium to the back of that come and speak with concerns.
That's the other restaurant.
No, the same Embers also had, there's a small condo.
And to your knowledge, has there been any complaints to the administration?
No, I do not believe so, but if there are issues of noise or those types of things, certainly pick up the phone and call the police department.
Well,
if you
I
believe
know,
that
and I
they're
mean,
in
I don't have a
violation.
problem with you having the outside bar if they're realistic of when they, slow it down. That's, so personally, I don't know about my neighbors, but, but it was a little bit loud in the last few weeks, so, anyway, not every day. Okay, so that was number one. Number two, and this goes to Link probably, and I don't know if anyone's, I'm sure somebody's asked this, but is there any intention to put a turn signal left from 124 to Queen Anne Road like you have the other way, so we don't always have to wait and miss a light to be able to go to the dump? I know that's a
Link, do you
that's
want
a
to
mass.
start
That's a
this? I think
that's
public
a-
safety has
That's
to.
probably a Massachusetts thing, but.
No, sir. That intersection was designed by VHB. They do a full traffic study prior to implementing it. And you may recall a consequence of the 4-way stop was that traffic was backing up onto the highway on occasions during the summer. So priority was given to southbound traffic to keep the ramps from backing up and to keep the mass flow of traffic moving. I understand I go through that intersection probably, 5 or 10 times a day, back and forth to Town Hall and other places. And once in a while, I get caught and you wait a traffic light. I have not had to sit for more than 2 cycles myself, but I understand this very busy time of year. But it was by design, based upon the traffic flows and the counts, to get the south-moving traffic moving. That's why you have a left arrow on the way. If you had a left arrow north to Queen Anne Road, you're holding that traffic back.
Okay, and if somebody wanted to have that looked at, where would they start?
Well, it's town of Harwich property. That was a TIP project that we did. However, it runs not very far up the road is MassDOT. And I could look into it and get back to you. I don't know what, I could have the commission look at that under a safety audit, although I don't think the accident data supports that. That might be a starting point. It wouldn't cost much.
Thank you.
Okay, so the last question is are there term limits for selectmen?
No.
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 And why not?
Elections, yeah. Okay, anyone else?
Just a comment. If you could give your address to Charlene, I think she will be able to check the liquor license and find out what the hours and stuff is on that license. We don't have access to it right now.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, with that, we'll close the non-resident taxpayers meeting. We are going to stick around. We have some other business we have to do. You're welcome to stay, or thank you all for coming.
Do you have an email?
And he was lucky because whoever opened the envelope sent back a photograph.
All right, now where are we? Where are we going now?
You're all set. Great. Okay, we're on to public hearing and presentation. Anyone for public hearing or presentations? Okay, under old business, we have award of design contract for painting of Brooks Free Library. We all got this in our packet. I am gonna pull this and wait for a full board. Peter Hughes was, this was something he was very interested in and had some questions. So with two board members not being here, I'm gonna take this up in
So
our,
hold
in
to
our
the
next
next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Based on the information we got, they weren't gonna go out till bid until January, so I believe we have some time. Any new business? The next is the town administrator's report. The town administrator included a self-evaluation in the packet. Tonight, I'd just like to acknowledge receipt of that, and we're gonna take this up when Chris is here to discuss it. So we'll put this on the next agenda as well. But we can note that we have received it and acknowledge that we've received it. So, Selectmen's report, do you have that up, Janelle?
You do, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, you do have in your packet an update from Chris as well on the 2000 FY16 goals and objectives. He did provide you that information.
Okay, great. We will acknowledge receipt of that as well, and we'll discuss that when Chris is here. The, on to Selectmen's report. Janelle, I'm gonna ask you to read this, because Julie's not here. We have roughly 30 committees in town, and we have several vacancies. So from now on in the town administrator's report to try and encourage people, or the Selectmen's report to try and encourage people to sign up and volunteer for committees, we're gonna read what's open. The process is, if you're interested in a committee, to see the staff in the town administrator's office, and they will give you the forms that you need to fill out.
I believe it's also available online.
And it's also available online. Go ahead.
You want me to read it?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
The Agricultural Commission has one opening. The Appeals Board has one full-time opening and one alternate opening. Architectural Advisory Committee has one opening. Bikeways has one opening. Board of Health has one opening. Brooks Academy Museum has one opening. The Building Code Board of Appeals has 5 openings. Community Preservation Committee, I'm not sure what that means.
Housing representative.
Housing representative, which means a representative from the Housing Committee.
Or Housing Authority, I'm not sure which.
Okay, so it's not really open to the public?
No.
This particular one?
No.
So I'm going to skip over that one. The Conservation Commission has 2 alternate openings. The Council on Aging has 2 openings. Disability Rights Committee has 5 openings. Forest Committee has 1 opening. Historic District, Historic Commission has 3 alternate openings. Housing Committee has 1 opening. Real Estate and Open Spaces Committee has 1 opening. Saquotucket Development Committee has 1 opening. Traffic Safety Committee has 2 openings. Trails Committee has 2 openings. The Treasure Chest Committee has 1 full opening and 1 alternate. The Utility and Energy Conservation has 1 opening, and the Waterways Committee has 1 alternate.
So we're desperately in need of volunteers. These committees do an awful lot of work, and we would,
And since the packet went online, we actually had at least 1, if not 2 people come in to file paperwork to serve.
great.
Can you check on the Building Code Board of Appeals? I'm not sure that's been fully operational for years.
Neither has the Disability Rights Committee. Doesn't mean that it's not a committee that can't be operating. It just, nobody has shown interest.
Also, I'd like
But
to
I will double check that.
I have a Facebook page, Janelle Brown, Harwich Selectmen, and I posted this recently, and I will continue to post updates for those of people who use Facebook.
Janelle, can you just give an overview of the process since you and Angelo are on the interview committee?
So the applications are available in the front office, and they're very simple to fill out. There's no query that I know of, and it's all volunteer. Angelo and I are the committee members for the interview committee, and we will interview once a month. As of September, we're hoping to do it on the 13th. We're waiting to hear back for sure, September 13th at 9 a.m. And what happens after that, after we interview, we discuss, and we make a recommendation to the full board. The full board will then vote yay or nay, and the applicants will be notified. If it's a yay, they will be notified by mail. What did we decide? We changed that recently. To be either way, they're notified by mail?
Oh, just the ones who've been approved.
Just the one who is approved, okay. Will be notified by mail, and then the process is that they are now a volunteer. They must take online state ethics course, a very quick online
Training course and
training
test.
course, and then sworn in by town clerk Anita Doucette, all of that before they're allowed to go to their first meeting.
Angela, you want to add anything?
I just want to add something a little different to it. There are a lot of people who have been on a committee for a number of terms, and they may have gotten sworn in at the beginning of their first term, and they're now on their third term. They have to be sworn in for each term. And so if you haven't been, please do it. The clerk will take care of that.
Great. Anything else in Selectmen's report?
I'm good.
Angela?
I'm fine, thank you.
I'm fine. Charlene, did you have anything in town administration? Great.
I have nothing.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.
I can't